DC Studios is producing an animated series called Creature Commandos. The show will feature a unique team of military superhumans, including Frankenstein's monster, a gorgon, a vampire, a werewolf, and their human leader. Based on the original comics but with a streamlined cast, it draws inspiration from the first 3 issues of Frankenstein, Agent of S.H.A.D.E, which explore the team's formation and unique dynamic. Agent Frankenstein is checking into S.H.A.D.E headquarters known as the Ant Farm, a sort of space station that hovers above the city of Manhattan. S.H.A.D.E stands for the Superhuman Advanced Defense Executive. Agent Frankenstein is frustrated by the fact that he has been summoned to the base by his leader, otherwise known as Father Time, as he had been on vacation on Mars. It appears that things have changed during Frankenstein's absence, from the base itself to the presence of humanoid robots. But what sets Frankenstein off the most is the appearance of Father Time, who is in the body of a little girl.
Father, what in the blazes happened to you?
Every decade I generate a new body to randomly act as my host. The old one was past due. Is this going to be a problem for you?
Certainly not, but
nothing. And as for the humanoids, a city this size doesn't run itself. They're harmless.
Father Time briefs Frankenstein on the reason his holiday was cut short.
2 days ago, at 1100 hours, a 10-year-old boy showed up at the local sheriff's station in Bone Lake, Washington, claiming his grandfather had been eaten by monsters. Naturally, they laughed it off until they found the old man's skeleton freshly stripped of flesh, sitting by the side of the road an hour later. Within 3 hours, the entire town was decimated. The final call to the feds from the sheriff was almost nonsensical, but he claimed that an entire army of monsters had invaded. Again, laughable, until we gained these satellite images.
my God, where have they come from?
We have no idea S.H.A.D.E forces sealed off the entire town, and we sent our best agent, your lovely wife, to exterminate the invaders yesterday. As usual, she was executing her mission perfectly. She reported she was close to locating the source of these ghouls. Then we suddenly lost contact with her right around midnight. You're going in, Frank. You're gonna find your wife and stop the invasion and get any survivors out of there. If you can't do it in the next 6 hours, we have orders to nuke the entire town before these things spill out any further.
Frankenstein joins the military in the fight against the monsters.
I'm going in. Hold the line. I'll stop them at the source.
Father Time informs Frankenstein that this time he won't be working alone. Cue the Creature Commandos. Dr. Nina Mazursky, a S.H.A.D.E science agent who transformed herself into an amphibian-human hybrid. Warren Griffith, a new recruit who has been transformed into a werewolf. Vincent Velcoro, a former S.H.A.D.E pilot who has been transformed into some kind of vampiric crossbreed. And Callus, an unidentified mummy from an unknown origin.
Father, what have you done?
I know, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Frankenstein gets to know his new team members.
Agent Frankenstein, it's an honor, if I may, sir. You're the reason I joined S.H.A.D E.
Yes, you and your life inspired all of my work.
Your work? You mean you did this, milady?
Yes, Project M was my baby, creating a new breed of S.H.A.D E super agents that, like you, tapped into man's irrational fear of the unknown.
Frankenstein cuts the small talk and gives his new team the game plan.
We cut a path to the heart of the town, search for any survivors. Then we find my wife and the source of these wretched beasts and stop this.
The Creature Commandos spring into action in a fierce battle against the monsters.
Keep your eyes peeled for survivors. They are our top priority.
Frankenstein and his team make their way to a church that is housing a strange-looking tomb. Frankenstein removes the tomb's casing, but instead of finding the source of the monsters, he finds a group of children and a nun hiding in the catacombs below. Frankenstein calls for Father Time to send transportation to evacuate the survivors, and Father Time updates the team on the location of the source of the monsters. They have found a temporal rift at the bottom of Bone Lake that seems to be operating as a portal between their two worlds. The Creature Commandos set up a force field around the lake in the formation of a Pentecostal star to keep the monsters contained. With the firewall in place, the commandos get to work and head for the portal. They arrive at the entrance to the portal to find a mass grave of juvenile skulls. Father Time's assistant scientist informs Frankenstein that the astrocarbon dating on the portal indicates that it has been open for potentially hundreds of years. Father Time deduces that the inhabitants of this town have been sacrificing youngsters to the monsters for generations in order to keep them at bay. Frankenstein and Dr. Mazursky are met at the entrance to the portal by monstrous fish-like beasts and get straight to work exterminating them. Mazursky says that she needs one of the monster's fish brains, and Frankenstein obliges her by ripping it out of the monster's skull. Mazursky connects the fish brain up to a peculiar device that is able to display the memories stored in its neural pathways in image form.
These three monsters are actually scouts, sent to find new suitable planets ripe for conquering. The wormhole was their outpost, a staging area for their invasion hundreds of years in the making. Local villagers ascribe misplaced religious meaning to the portal and the demons. A tradition of child sacrifices became their norm, to the amusement of the bloodthirsty creatures. But the monster's planet was dying, giving new urgency to the invasion of Earth. The Lady Frankenstein discovered the portal and attempted to stop the invasion, but was overpowered and dragged through to dead space. At any rate, it appears the planet is here. The invasion is no longer impending, it has already begun. What do you think, Frankenstein?
We have only one option. We take the fight to them.
The Commandos find themselves on the other side of the portal, in the dimension from which the monsters originated. Frankenstein's ex-wife is there too.
Get back, you foul beasts!
Don't talk, just shoot.
This is a suicide mission, Father. We have my wife.
Ex-wife.
Her ex-wife. I suggest we discuss exit strategies while we still can.
No can do, Frank. The egg we sent you through the wormhole in was trashed in the landing. Science agents Belroy and Palmer say its biochemical structure will repair itself, but it'll take time.
The mummy is behaving weirdly. He lifts his staff above his head and informs the rest of the team to cover their eyes, before slamming the base of his staff into the ground, causing a blinding surge of light to project outwards from the head of the staff. The mummy's plan worked. His light attack obliterated all the monsters in its wake, and the coast is clear for now. And the werewolf catches him before he falls to the ground. The monster planet is still approaching Earth at a rapid rate. The mummy's attack only managed to destroy all the spider monsters in the dead zone, but they still have all the ogres and sea monsters to deal with. Suddenly, the mountain starts to rumble in front of them, and a giant spider breaks free from beneath the surface. Frankenstein charges into battle, unfazed by the monstrosity before him. The rest of the Commandos tremble in fear.
My former husband is many things, vampire, but insane is most certainly not one of them. Nor is he a coward. You'd all do well to remember that.
The giant spider swallows Frankenstein whole in battle, and the Commandos make a run for it. The spider is enraged after losing all of its children to the mummy's light blast. Just as the spider is about to catch them, Frankenstein bursts out of its chest with his blade buried into its heart.
We can now assume that the mountain on the second continent is also some kind of monster titan, and God only knows what waits for us under the ocean.
Dr. Palmer, how long do we have until the planet reaches the portal at Bone Lake?
If my calculations are correct, and they are, you have approximately 3 hours to make your way past the remaining monster hordes and slay the final 2 titans.
The Commandos leave the mummy by the escape pod and split into 2 groups to take on the remaining monster planets. Lady Frankenstein heads to the ogre planet along with the vampire and the werewolf, while Dr. Mazursky and Frankenstein take on the sea beasts. Agent Belroy informs Father Time about an alarming energy signature in the Southeast Asia Sea.
So, there are metahumans popping up all over the place. Log it and we'll send a team to check it out later.
No, Father, I mean a very distinct reading from Vietnam. It's him, it has to be.
After all these years? Why now? Well, this just sucks. Let's pray Frank gets out of Monster Planet alive. There's no one else on Earth who can talk him down.
That's all for this story. If you enjoyed the video, please help us out and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.